Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, January 7th, Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners reorganizational meeting. Would everybody please stand for a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome and introduce new commissioner for 2020, Brian Keating. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
At this time, I would like to ask for discussion and motion to elect a chairman for the Board of Fire Commissioners for 2020.
I make a motion to have Dennis Winter chairman.
And I can second that. He's kind of taking charge from the beginning of the year. And
Well, thank you, Tom.
his final year, so let's see how the board's supposed to be run.
Okay, well, I think we'll see.
I think Stu did a great job. And we might not all agree on what we accomplished, but I think ordering the rig and getting Chester Heights ready for it is going to be a benefit to the department and everything else.
Okay,
Okay.
so Chief, you want to roll the vote there?
Take a
You have
roll.
two?
Okay. To select Commissioner Dennis Winter as the chairman for 2020, Commissioner Keating,
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo,
Aye.
Commissioner Roche,
Aye.
and
I'll say-
Commissioner Winter.
I'll say aye, and thank you for the support, and hopefully we have a smooth and good year.
Thank you for the good job.
Alrighty, so that motion carried, and Chief, thank you for your for handling that. Now our next order of business is to select a vice chairman or a temporary chairman, whatever term you'd like, more comfortable using. So would anybody like to make a motion for a vice chairman?
I would love to make a motion for Tom Roach to be vice chairman.
Okay, any
Fine. No discussion.
seconded by
I'll second it.
Commissioner Carlo. I'll poll the board. Are you willing to do
I
that, Tom?
accept it. I did it last year. It's really a non-issue. I mean, as long as Dennis makes the meetings, which he will, I will gladly glide behind him.
Okay. So I'll poll the board. Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating? Have to get used to saying that.
Aye.
I will say aye.
And I'll say aye. Okay, so now in the CBA, we have a committee called the Safety Committee. I thought it would be good if we appointed somebody now for that committee rather than have to, it's normally the chairman and one commissioner to be on the Safety Committee, which meets with the union to discuss the safety issues. Tom has done that last year. Tom, are you up for that?
Well, would Brian like it? I mean, I did that my first year, and I did it 2 years in a row. If Brian's up for that, Safety Commission, it meets in the morning, so that could work. I would relinquish that role. We met just last month. Hopefully, the fire department will, the union will come back with a report and report to the board what they report to because the committee doesn't make any decisions. It's a two-man committee.
I'm
It
up for
only hears-
helping in any way I can, in
All
any
right, so
capacity.
what do you think of that, Dennis?
I'm fine with that. It's up for whoever, you
fine
guys
with
want to do.
Yeah, so if Brian accepts that, that's perfect for myself. The chief's on the committee, and Dennis will be on the committee.
I'm honored to. Thank you.
Okay, it meets quarterly, hopefully, ideally.
Oh, no, we changed that in the contract to meet once a year. It wasn't being met quarterly,
okay.
so it
Well, that's-
meets once a year.
Once a year.
Well, it's an annual meeting then. Wow. Okay, so
And
I would recommend, I'll second, you're going to make a motion on Brian Keating?
Yep, I'll make a motion.
And I'll second that. Okay,
Fine.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that's done. Now we have appointments. We have a list of appointments that we do every year. We follow pretty much the same order each year. I distributed a list. It's the appointment of Fire District Secretary, and I can read down, but it's easier just to go through. We can do these all at one shot if that works best, or we can just, I'll go through the first key ones, and then we'll do the other appointments in easier. Right now, I'm looking for a motion to appoint Jamie Henstrom as our Fire District Treasurer,
I'll second that.
and on the same terms as last year, except for one item. Jamie has been averaging 20 hours a week, not 17 hours a week. The last year's minutes had her down at 17 hours a week estimated. So we'd like to move that to 20 hours a week estimated, and therefore her holiday, she gets 2 weeks paid vacation, would be 20 hours a week instead of 17, just to match the time. So the terms are identical to last year. So I'd look for a motion to appoint Jamie at the same salary which she was at last year, which is $70 an hour, approximately 20 hours a week, to Fire District Treasurer for 2020.
Tom made the motion originally, so I'll second it.
That's Tom. And Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
The next position is Lisa. I'm gonna have a problem with the name, as always.
Lucarelli Gutierrez.
Lucarelli Gutierrez. It's the same exact terms as last year, with hours to be, her work schedule to be approved by the board. And everything else is identical to last year, 20 hours a week, salary, $33 an hour. She's also a part-time employee. It doesn't, so I would look for a motion to appoint Lisa
I'll make that motion.
as secretary, as Fire District Secretary. That's Paul. The second
I'd second that.
is Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Lisa also works as she's appointed as the Fire District's Freedom of Information Act officer. So, and Brian Tween, the chief, is the appeals officer. Every year you appoint a FOIL officer and an appeals officer. So it would be Lisa and Brian Tween to be the appeals officer. Is everybody okay? I'll make a motion to do that.
Yes?
Yep, second that.
Seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, workplace violence policy, we need a contact person to put on the form every year, and it's usually...
She's the FOIL officer and the FOIL appeal officer?
But Brian's,
Oh, this is
okay.
workplace violence contact person. That's a mandatory state thing. And the chief is the contact person, with the chairman as the second person to contact. So I look for a motion to appoint the chairman and the chief as the contact persons for the workplace violence policy.
I make that motion.
Okay, that's
Second that.
Okay.
No,
Brian
Tom,
and
sorry,
Brian.
Tom.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the fire district, we distributed everyone got a copy of the fire district's code of ethics policy. It was distributed yesterday. It'll be, chief need to post it in every firehouse. And that's just, we don't need to vote on that, that's just to say, the policy's out there, everybody copy to post it in the firehouse. Fire district council, the council will stay the same. They sent over their retainer agreement yesterday, which was distributed. And the council is Conlon and Gerhardt. So look for a motion to retain fire district council of the year 2020.
I'll make that one.
The law firm of Conlon and Gerhardt, with the revised 2020 schedule attached. So that's, Mr. Carl is making that motion. And seconded by Mr. Roach. And I'll poll the board. Mr. Keating?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, Tom?
Aye.
And I'll say aye. Ethics Council, and I'll say, yes, so that motion carries. Okay, for Ethics Council, we have Stephen Slesnick, who is with a retainer agreement on file. His role will be, if we have an ethics complaint, Mr. Slesnick's, as opposed to issue an informal opinion for the board or advise the board of the person who's asking about the opinion. So I would look for a motion to reappoint Stephen Slesnick for 2020 as Fire District Ethics Council.
I'll make that one.
Paul? And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Fire District Auditor, we're BST and Company. We went out for a five-year proposal, I think it was last year. They've made that proposal, they are still so we signed them up for 5 years, but every year we have to reaffirm it. So I would look for a motion to appoint BST as our Fire District Auditors, and they'll be conducting their audit shortly,
I'll make
and
that
the
motion.
retainer's on file. So that's
I'll
Commissioner
second.
Roach and Commissioner Carlo. All in favor?
Aye.
Fire district positions. Last year, we changed our fire district position to a White Plains Urgent Care. Dr. Goya,
Goyle. Goyle, yeah.
Goyle, where she charges us as she sees patients. It's roughly $120 a patient that she sees. That's reduced our cost down probably by half by doing that arrangement. So I would look for a motion to reappoint the White Plains Medical Care.
What about a little bit of discussion for a second, because I have a question of the chief.
Sure.
Have we ever talked to Dr. Goyle about the fit testing and
No.
and she agreed to
I
do
hope to have
that?
it for the next meeting, what she would charge us to review the 8-page respiratory questionnaire. So it has to be reviewed prior to do the fit testing, so she'll give us a price to do that.
But she seemed receptive.
Yes, very
Okay,
much
very
so.
good.
And physicals and all that.
Happy New Year, Lisa.
Good morning.
Have you-
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so who would like to make the motion to reappoint Dr.
I can make that
Goyle?
motion.
Okay, that's Tom.
I'll second.
Second. Mr. Carlo. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, Tom.
Yes, aye.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Fire District Chaplain, Chief, we're going to reappoint the same rabbi, priest, and reverend as last year. So I'd make a motion to appoint all three, the rabbi, the priest, and the chaplain, which is Reverend Carmiello, for 2020.
Second.
Yep.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That phone call is just somebody we had to deal with today, and they're just calling at the wrong time. So we thank the chaplain and the rabbi for offering to do that for us. Fire District Insurance Broker is Arthur J. Gallagher. We look to renew the service, to make them the broker of record for 2020 again. So I look for a motion to appoint Arthur J. Gallagher of White Plains, New York, as the Fire District's general insurance broker.
I'll make that one.
Paul. And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Fire District newspaper of record, the Journal News. Unfortunately, it's the only newspaper we can use. It has to be a newspaper that charges a fee and has a general circulation. Their prices are very high, but we're forced to kind of use them. So I would ask for a motion to appoint the Journal News as the official newspaper of record for 2020, and these are for our legal notices.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, Bank Depository of Record, we have, I'd look for a motion to appoint JP Morgan Chase and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York as our depositories. One comment here, we've made about more than $100,000 last year using the Federal Reserve Bank of New York Treasury Direct Treasury Bill account as our depository, we did that the first time last year, which was great. And rates have come down this year, so it won't be as good this year, but it was
Well,
a
they're
good thing.
creeping back up a little bit.
We need them to go back up. So, I like higher rates. So,
Should cover the phones.
who would like to make that
I'll
motion?
make that motion.
Mr. Carlo first,
Second.
and a second?
Yep.
Tom's the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have two policies we'd like to update. One's an update, and, well, they're both new. One is a social media policy, and the other is an information technology policy. And we currently have an email policy, but the email policy is somewhat dated, and technology moves on, and social media moves on. So the New York State Association of Fire Districts had a model of what a social media policy should look like.
Additional call 57 Medic 2, number 9 Caldwell Street, in Highland Avenue, Tuckahoe Avenue, headed to Reefmore Fall. Evac additional call 57 Medic 2, number 9 Caldwell Street, in Highland Avenue, Tuckahoe Avenue, headed to Reefmore Fall, 855-662.
Okay, that call's over. I can tell you, they've been very busy the last 24 hours for some reason or other. It's been an extremely busy period. So we have these two policies, a social media policy and an internet technology information technology policy. These are boilerplate policies that came from the New York State Association of Fire Districts that recommended fire districts adopt. And we'd like to, I think the board is looking forward to doing this. So I look for a motion to adopt both of these policies, the information technology use policy and the social media policy.
Make
And
that motion.
Mr. Keating,
I'll second it.
Mr. Carlo, and I poll the board. Mr. Keating,
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Carlo, Mr. Roach,
Yeah, I guess I'll vote yes.
and
I
I'll
didn't really
say
get a
aye.
great chance to read them, but I did read them the first time you sent them.
They're the same as the first time.
Okay.
They're very, they cover a lot of ground. They just cover anything you can do with a cell phone or, and text messaging and, but it's important to have. It's basically, it protects the fire department if somebody does something wrong, for lawsuit and damages because you have a policy in place that they shouldn't be doing it.
Right,
So that's-
especially if we're sponsoring the computer hardware. and-
Well, no, even at an accident scene or at a tragedy, you don't want anybody taking pictures and emailing them and that type of thing.
Oh, I see.
So,
Well, is that a written policy that all the members understand?
they'll understand it.
Yeah, they will now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty plain, it's plain vanilla. I mean, it's wordy, but it's plain vanilla. It's, it's not anything, I'm sure everybody's doing what the policy says today. I don't think we're doing anything other than what's in the policy now, but it's just a refresher reminding people not to make those mistakes.
It's good. It's good to have in place.
Yeah. Okay. We want to revoke I'd like to see the board revoke. In 2017, we put a point of contact policy in place to communicate with the law firm. That policy somewhat restricted our ability to freely communicate with the lawyer.
Sorry, Dennis. Just wanted to keep over the ball.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, if we revoke this policy, the council is under no restrictions just to talking to any board member at any time, so it makes freer communications and less confusion. So I look for a motion to revoke the August 2017 point of legal contact resolution in its entirety, and that's it.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Carlo, in a second.
I'll second that.
Mr. Keating, and I'll poll the board. Mr.
Okay,
Keating?
can we discuss a little bit
Sure.
first?
Oh, yes.
So, what's gonna be the new policy? It's still gonna, before we just contact once in a while, I understand the lawyer has to be contacted by phone, that's unavoidable.
Right.
But for the most part, if we're gonna start a new initiative, we'll bring it to the board, have an executive session and talk about it, and then,
Right, but there's times when things come up where people have a question, might have a question, and we're volunteers on this board, and you might have a question, before you act, you want to just check with the lawyer first to see if you're not, even before you even send the email, that you're not stepping on any toes or not doing anything that you probably shouldn't be doing. The lawyer charges us about $200 an hour, so 15 minutes of his time is $60 or something. So it's easier and better, I think, if people can free communicate with them. I don't think the legal bills are going to change materially. If anything, they probably could come down by people
That's good.
realizing they,
Might be helpful, like Tom's saying, to discuss everything prior to even contacting them, but all Dennis is saying is it's not restricting any single person
From
speaking
making a
with
phone
them.
call.
It's open
right,
to
but
everyone.
we have brought down the legal bill quite substantially last year, 40%, and like I said, we wanna continue that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should,
I
right,
mean,
we
it
should
may
be
not go down
communicative here.
40%, but
Right.
I think we all need to be aware and cognizant of how often we do call. these
Correct,
guys, right?
correct,
So I think
correct.
that's the issue
Right.
why we started in the
Correct.
first place, right? So they weren't getting calls from 5 commissioners 10 times a day, so you were prudent, Tom, with that, so I think that's the intention, wasn't it, to kind of.
Right.
So we
I think
don't-
everybody's
everybody's not
gonna be
contacting
reasonable
them.
and not, if it turns out that we're calling them too much, then we can address it. But I don't think that's gonna be an issue.
I think it's
I agree,
a
yeah.
good question, Tom. We should be more communicative on this side of it prior to speaking with them.
Correct.
If we're able to, and being cognizant of that it is costly to speak to the attorney each and every time.
Which brings up the fact that we may put more tools in place for us to communicate amongst ourselves easier.
Great idea.
And we can discuss that later. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yep.
right now, it might be better us to have our own cell phones or laptops or
I think this is a great idea.
fire department a laptop. We give the membership, we give
It's a
the
great idea.
treasurer a laptop, we we've always offered people to have a Google,
It's a great idea. It's better to have separate devices too for things
so
that
you're not commingling the
correct,
information.
cording things off.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the idea.
All right.
So, I'll
That
say,
sound good, Tom?
Yep.
okay, so Commissioner Keating,
Aye.
Mr. Carlo,
Aye.
Aye.
and I'll say aye. Okay, so we also need to revoke the email policy that we have in place from 2012 because that policy has just been superseded by the new policy. So I look for a motion to,
Somebody put out a new policy?
the information technology policy covers all that ground. This one,
All right.
okay? So I look for a motion to revoke the email policy, the prior email policy, and replace of this other policy.
Do you need a second, Tom?
Sure, I'll give a motion. Thank you, Brian.
No, I'm just asking if you need a
You're
second
gonna get
to
to
look
do
at
this
it.
Oh, you need a second to look at it, not a second to, are you okay with that, Tom? He didn't mean you need a second. A second doesn't vote.
I'm sure he's even
I can
faster reader
abstain
than
if I
me.
have to.
Okay. So I'll make the motion to revoke it. Do you want to second it?
I'll second.
And Mr. Keating seconds it. And I'll say aye.
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 And Tom says
Aye,
aye.
aye.
So that we'll have no more 2012 email policy. Okay, let me see if there's anything I missed along this, because I didn't go by the social media policy, adopted, fire district closet, insurance agent, chaplain, went down the list. Okay, so now, while you gentlemen are looking at the bills, we have, okay, we have I think that is it for, unless somebody tells me something different, I think that's it for the reorg meeting, is covering all the ground on the reorg. Did we miss anything on the reorg? Okay, so that portion of the meeting we can say is done. We have a little other business we can do, we might as well do right now, if we can do it. We are currently 2 firemen down, and two firemen down. This can be an executive session discussion in a few minutes. And we have the academy coming up, so we need to discuss that. We can go into executive discussion, discuss it for a minute. We have a problem with the oil tank in Bronxville, where the fuel, we had a new oil burner put in, it went in very well, it was nicely done, but the fuel line feeding the tank is giving us a problem. So we're having a contractor look at that tank, and that's who's been calling in the last few minutes. And he's supposed to give us a proposal to fix that tank. He's given it to him, but it wasn't as clear as we'd like to be. The chief has radios we need to buy, and I'll do this now. We've been Chief, you want to explain what we're going to be doing here, or?
Sure, yeah, so we upgraded to a new portable radio. The other radios were about 15 years old, so we're upgrading the technology. We may try to implement a new accountability plan, and these radios will be part of that, where if we want to do an accountability check at a scene, the guys will be able to key the microphone and that'll check them in. Nourishell and Yonkers have it, so we have to upgrade our portables to be able to move forward to that platform for accountability. So that's the ultimate goal. So we had ordered 24 radios, which covers the rigs, but it doesn't allow us any radios. So if there's a fire and we call in additional personnel, or if we have snowstorms and we have additional personnel on duty, we didn't have enough radios to cover those people. So these additional 12 radios would give us that capability.
Okay.
So they are a little more expensive than the ones we ordered in October because Motorola had their price increase at the end of the year. So they're about $160 more radio. So
Kind of like the bridges and tunnels.
exactly. But all the radios and programming is on state or county contract. So
Okay.
the radios are on state contract. The programming is on the county contract.
Okay, so the chief is requesting we buy these 12 radios for a cost of $54,008.16. So I would offer a motion to authorize the chief to enter into the agreement and buy the radios. Looking for a second.
I'll second that.
And Mr. Keating will, Mr. Carlo will second it. Okay, I'll poll the board.
Aye.
Mr. Keating?
Aye.
Carlo?
Aye.
And I'll say aye, so Chief, you can go by
Thank
the
you.
radios.
Yeah.
Did he clarify?
He did. So they believe they'll be able to fix the oil lines without replacing them. But I said, worst case scenario, if you do have to replace them, they said it would cost between $1,400 and $1,700. But they believe when they expose the top of the tank to fix the fill issue with we're getting water going into the fill, when they saw cut the top of the tank, they believe the lines will be exposed and they'll find the issue right there at the top of the tank. They don't believe it's between the tank and the building.
I agree with them.
So that's why they didn't put a proposal, because they don't believe it'll be necessary to replace the lines. But I said, we just need the worst case scenario. If you do have to replace the lines, it would be an additional $1,400 to $1,700.
Right, and the lines were put in 2016.
16. Yeah.
So they were copper lines coated at the time.
Yeah.
So it's not likely, it's likely the damage happened when they repaved the parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lines are probably still good. Okay, so then we can probably move forward with this.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay, so Dutchess Environmental is offering to cut the top of the tank and put new hatches in.
Yes.
And the cement base, and then while they
Yeah.
do that, they'll access
Repair
the
the fuel
lines
lines.
and hopefully repair them. And their quote was $4,230. They are the same people who put the tank in, which operated fine for years until the blacktop happened, and whoever blacktopped the driveway replaced the lids with the wrong lids, and then these problems started circulating. So,
Chief, is there any chance of us getting a gas line in or not?
Well, the Bronxville Firehouse does not have gas service, and right now Con Ed has a moratorium on new service, so it may end in a month, it may end in, a year. I don't know when Con Ed would allow us to even put gas service in. There's gas in the area. There's main lines that go along Confield Road and down Midland. But whether they're service lines, I know Con Ed will dig up the first 100 feet, but if it's more than 100 feet, it can get very expensive to install the gas line.
Right.
So they would have to come and their engineers would scope out where they would tap into the main. So it may be right in front of the building, it may be all the way up at Confield Road, so it could be free or it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. I couldn't say until Con Ed came and looked at it. So, but right now, there's no gas service in the building, so, having a gas furnace wasn't an option at this time. Whether it's something we want to do, we just put in a tank 3 years ago that has a 30-year warranty, so I don't really see the need for, unless oil gets extremely expensive and, it's more cost-effective to do gas. But what's the payback time? If it's going to cost us $60,000 to put in a gas line, how long will it take us to earn back that $60,000?
Okay, great.
So,
and the burner we just put in, you can always, if we have to at some point in time, change out the burner
Yeah, that's the front.
and retrofit it for gas.
Right, if it becomes available.
Yeah,
And cost effective.
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
noticed, oh, sorry, Brian.
No, it's-
so let me finish this. So I'm looking for the board to approve this repair to replace and remove the 5-gallon oil spill containment manholes and on the Bronxville Firehouse for $4,230. I'll make the motion, looking for a second.
I'll second.
So Tom's seconding it. Commissioner Keating? Ms. Carlo?
Aye.
The rest of
Tom? You good
Aye.
with this? And I'll say aye. Motion carries. Okay, so that's that. We can cut now and then come right back. So I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I second it.
Personnel,
Second.
and all in favor?
Aye.
And it'll only be about a 15-minute, maybe tops break, I think. Okay, I look for a motion to come back out of executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Carlo makes a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Roach. And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have a couple more items to go over. One is we need to call for a promotional list for captains and lieutenants. So, are we okay that we don't, it doesn't need to be by formal motion, but are we okay for calling it promotional list captains and lieutenants?
I am.
Aye.
Okay, well, second,
Aye.
making the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. Carlo made the first, and the second is Mr. Keating, and we'll call for that promotional list. We have some bills to pay. We have 2 sets of warrant and a credit card bills. Jamie supplied the warrants to us. We have the warrants from 12/23/2019 for $214,513.87. We have the warrants from January 7th, 2020 for $232,500.28. We have a credit card bill where the warrant was dated Jan 18, I'm sure that's when it's due by, for $777.09 for a total of $447,791.24. And those bills have been circulated. Any questions or any comments or any?
No, they're
The
fine.
chief, the bills have all been reviewed by the treasurer and signed off by the chief, which is our standard policy. And the board just checks to make sure that those policies have been adhered to. So,
And then we initial on the top page.
then we initial the page of the warrants that we approve the total amount of the warrants. So the radios and the firehouse repair were not in there, but those are just.
Those are proposals, so they're not bills at this
Yeah,
time.
right. So, and that's where we are. So I'll look for a motion to pay the bills.
I make that motion.
Okay, so I'll poll the board. Mr. Keating?
Aye.
Mr. Carlo?
Aye.
Mr. Roach?
Aye.
And I'll say aye. So Jamie's gonna pay the bills. The promotion list, we have that, on a separate note, and we're gonna be breaking off soon, the Commissioner Keating expressed some interest in getting the ceiling of the Chester Heights Firehouse done.
Absolutely.
And so, Chief, if you can get some quotes to get that.
Tim, get some painters in and see.
And at the same time, we also are getting a quote to have the oil tank removed in Chester Heights, because there's no reason to have it there anymore. And we need to get the basement cleared out there. If we can get somebody, get 3 quotes to
Yep.
evacuate that basement.
Mhm.
And so we can be more moved along for the floor.
Okay.
And we're meeting the architect to go over the floor plans in a few minutes, that we don't need to be on camera for that. So, would anybody from the public like to speak? Okay, and the only comment I will make for folks is, we have a website where we do our meetings, or we send email notices out for our meetings. If you'd like to be added to that list to get the email notices for our meetings, just go to Eastchester FD and send us an email, or email commissioners@Eastchester FD, and we'll get you on the email list so you'll be distributed in meeting notices. We also, from time to time, send out alerts when something is of particularly interested to the community. We'll send it out, not often. If you want to get more urgent messages, you should sign up for the Village of Bronxville's email alert system, or the Village of Tuckahoe's email alert system, or the town of Eastchester's email alert system. All 3 on their webpage, on their front pages, have their alerts where you can sign up for. I would encourage everyone to sign up, even across the board, for those alerts. They give you good information from time to time, and when an emergency happens, the Village of Bronxville, the Tuckahoe Police, and the town of Eastchester are all very good at alerting us to things you need to know. So you should sign up for your alerts. And Chief, any comments? Any board member comments?
No.
I want to thank Anthony for joining us here at his first non-official Board of Commissioners meeting, 5 years of selfless service. Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Tom.
And any other commissioner comments?
No, good.
Okay, so thank you all for coming, and have a good year and have a happy new year. Thank you.